This is a near-Earth asteroid. It's wider than 3 football fields, it's heavier than 74 Empire State Buildings, and its name is Apophis. If you're not familiar, Apophis is the ancient Egyptian god of chaos and destruction. Now, why would anyone give an asteroid a name like that? Well, it's largely because the asteroid Apophis will be making a close approach to the Earth in the year 2029. So close that there will be communications satellites in geosynchronous orbit that are further away from the surface than this giant asteroid. Well, that's if we're lucky. If we're unlucky, now, that's not your cue to panic or do something extreme like join a doomsday cult. Scientists all agree that there's almost zero chance of Apophis hitting us in 2029, according to their predictions. They also don't believe there's much chance of any significant asteroid impacting the Earth anytime in the next 100 years. Not one that we know about, at least. The thing is that scientists aren't as good at finding and predicting asteroids as you might think. Take this one that entered the atmosphere over Russia just last week. On December 3rd, 2024, a small asteroid about 2 feet in diameter created a fireball that streaked across the night sky at over 4 times the speed of sound and exploded in mid-air. Luckily, there was no damage associated with the event thanks to the relatively small size of the rock. But do you know how much advanced warning we had that the December 3rd asteroid was coming? The European Space Agency detected it 12 hours before it made contact with the Earth's atmosphere. 12 hours. Now, if that Russian fireball story seems familiar, that's because something very similar happened in 2013, again over Russia. Only that one happened during the day, and this rock was significantly larger at the width of a tennis court and the weight of a cruise ship. The 2013 asteroid exploded in mid-air with the equivalent energy of a large nuclear bomb, as in 30 times the energy of the Hiroshima bomb. Luckily, that energy was released at a very high altitude, about 3 times the height of a commercial airplane. But even that still managed to cause tens of millions of dollars in damage and injure 1,500 people. The danger here came from an invisible shockwave. Everyone was looking up at this amazing light in the sky, and then 90 seconds later, the air pressure from the explosion hit buildings and shattered windows right into the faces of the onlookers. The only reason this was not a significantly more destructive event comes down to angles. You see, the 2013 Russian asteroid didn't hit the Earth straight on. It came in at a very low angle, around 20 degrees, which means that it encountered a lot of atmosphere on its way down, which generated a lot of heat, which caused the rock to break apart. If the asteroid had come in at a slightly steeper angle, like, say, 45 degrees, then it would have impacted the surface and the result would have been indistinguishable from a nuclear weapon, which would have been bad for the people it landed on, but potentially even worse for the rest of the world, because the Russians could have jumped to conclusions and started a global thermonuclear war. But of course, the Russian government must have known that a large rock was about to fall on them from space, right? But then why didn't they warn people to take shelter and not stand in front of windows that were about to explode? Well, that's because the 2013 Russian asteroid was a total surprise. We did not see that one coming at all. So how does something like that happen in the 21st century? Well, even today, we know that there are a lot of near-Earth asteroids out there that we don't know about. If we try to think about the scale of all the objects that we can see in the night sky, even our neighboring planets like Mars and Venus appear as just tiny bright dots. Imagine holding something that's over 4.5 billion years old, older than the Earth itself. That's exactly what you get with the premium meteorite edition of the hover pen from Novium. This isn't just a pen, it's a connection to the cosmos. The meteorite shard makes it one of the most unique writing instruments you'll ever own, and the perfect Christmas gift. But the hover pen isn't just about its ancient origins. It's designed to spin gracefully on its base, capturing attention and adding a touch of elegance to your workspace. This pen isn't just functional, it's an art piece that brings the mysteries of space right into your hands. For the ultimate hover pen experience, consider the Interstellar gift set, which includes the sleek aluminum dock to showcase your hover pen, along with other thoughtfully designed accessories that elevate your workspace and productivity. And if you're not into meteorites, the hover pen still offers unmatched style and functionality. It's refillable, ensuring a smooth, unmatched writing experience that you can enjoy over and over again. Whether you're writing your next big idea or simply displaying it on your desk, the hover pen is sure to impress. Novium is offering an exclusive deal for my viewers, 10% off on all hover pens plus free shipping to most countries. Just scan the QR code on the screen and visit the links below to take advantage of this offer. Trust me, you'll never look at writing the same way again. So visualizing something as relatively small as an asteroid is very difficult even in the best case scenario. The way we do that is essentially just to point a telescope at one area of the sky and take a series of photos. If you see something moving from frame to frame, then it's probably a satellite, but it might be an asteroid. So now you try and figure out what the object is and then make a prediction about where it's going. The tricky thing about this is we have to remember that everything in the solar system is always moving. All of the planets and moons and asteroids are spinning around the sun, and the sun itself is moving through the galaxy. Now, planets move in consistent orbits, and most asteroids do too, but the thing about asteroids is that they are much smaller than planets and moons, and even some asteroids are much bigger than other ones. So a smaller body has a tendency to be influenced by the gravity of a larger body. Back in the early days of the solar system, a lot of the asteroids that bombarded the Earth and our neighbors were flung at us by the gravity of Jupiter. So we may think we know the orbital path of any given asteroid, but all it has to do is pass too close to something bigger, and now it could be going in a whole different direction. That is, if we even see the asteroid in the first place. Remember that in order for us to perceive an object in space, it needs to either be creating light, like a star, or reflecting light from the sun, like a planet. So asteroids are only visible to us when they catch the sun's light at a time when we happen to be looking right at them. And if we think a little bit more about how that works, we quickly realize that this means we can only see asteroids that are beyond the Earth's orbit. If a rock is sitting between the Earth and the sun, then it's going to be backlit, meaning it won't be bright enough to pick out in the sky, and basically renders these asteroids invisible. That is what happened in 2013. The asteroid that exploded over Russia came down from the inner solar system, from the direction of the sun, and we were totally blind to it. So that's not exactly reassuring. I was kind of hoping that by learning more about near-Earth asteroids and how they're detected, that I would actually ease some of my existential dread, but I made it worse, so sorry about that. Now, how likely is it that a relatively large asteroid comes in and actually makes it all the way down to the surface of the Earth? We know that it has happened before, so how frequent are these occurrences? Well, the last time that Earth took a direct hit from anything significant was in the year 1908. This is referred to as the Tunguska event. This rock was about half the length of a football field, and it came down over, you guessed it, Russia. Now, given that this was over 100 years ago in northern Russia, there wasn't a whole lot of people around to witness the event. Witnesses reported seeing a bright fireball streak across the sky, followed by a series of loud explosions. What we know about the Tunguska event comes from investigating the aftermath. Approximately 2,000 square kilometers of forest was flattened by the explosion. 80 million trees were knocked down by the shockwave. People as far as 1,500 kilometers away reported feeling the tremors and hearing the explosions. It is believed that the Tunguska explosion was 1,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. So that's what happened when an asteroid 1/6 the size of Apophis came down over an unpopulated area. So what would happen if scientists are wrong and we do end up getting nailed by a space rock in 2029? Well, just for fun, we can go ahead and take a look at the probable results. Maybe fun isn't the right word here. Morbid curiosity, I guess. Anyway, this is from an app called Asteroid Launcher. First, we need to choose a location for the asteroid to impact. I'm gonna choose Los Angeles just because it's very famous and recognizable. No offense to anyone who lives in LA. I've never been there. I'm sure it's nice, but now we're gonna blow it up. And since we're blowing up America, we'll use American measurements here. So the first thing that happens on impact is a crater in the ground 6.3 miles across and 2,000 feet deep. That would instantly vaporize about 230,000 people and release more energy than the entire world consumes in 1 year. That energy is going to take the form of a giant fireball, 10 miles across. That is going to incinerate about 6 million people, and even if you weren't charbroiled by the flames, anyone within 44 miles of the impact would see their clothes burst into flames from the heat. Trees up to 89 miles away from the impact would also be on fire. Then there's the shock wave, which would collapse every building within 69 miles of the impact, and even houses as far away as 92 miles would probably fall down. This would kill another 3 million people. Then if somehow you managed to survive all of that, the wind kicked up by the impact would reach a maximum speed of 10,000 miles per hour. 10,000! The fastest wind ever recorded was just 250 miles per hour. Even as far away from the impact as 60 miles, the wind speed would still be equivalent to an EF5 tornado. And then, of course, there would be a massive corresponding earthquake. This is going to reach 7.3 on the Richter scale and would be felt up to 160 miles away. So yeah, asteroids are terrifying, but what can we do about it? Is there any way to prevent this type of cosmic horror from impacting the Earth? Well, potentially, yes, as long as we can see it coming and we detect the rock when it's still very far away. To date, there has been one successful asteroid redirection attempt, NASA's DART mission. They basically crashed a probe into a relatively large asteroid just to see what would happen. The target of the DART impact was the asteroid named Dimorphos. It's about half the size of Apophis, and Dimorphos actually orbits around a much larger asteroid called Didymos. So the idea was that by crashing the 1,200-pound DART spacecraft into Dimorphos, we could then look for any changes in its orbit around Didymos, which would quickly tell us how effective the impact had been. And we know that the DART impact was successful in changing the course of the asteroid. Dimorphos was pushed into a shorter orbit around Didymos. The orbital period was reduced by around 30 minutes from 11 hours 55 minutes to 11 hours 22 minutes. So we know we made a difference, but only a small one. So really, that just further reinforces that the most important line of defense against asteroids is finding them. If we know what we're up against and we identify the threat when it's still decades away from impact, then at least we've got a fighting chance.